Dub Nation, is Chris Paul. My head coach Steve Kerr joins Willard and Dibs today right here on 95.7 The Game.
Yes, he does, and he joins Willard and Dibs. In fact, right now, although Marc Willard out today, it's Marc Grandi sitting in. So Dibs and Grandi with you on Willard and Dibs here on 95.7 The Game, and it's time to welcome in head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr. And Kerr is brought to you by Xfinity. At home or on the go, you'll get the fastest internet to all of your devices, and presented by Great Clips. In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Coach, pleasure to have you on Willard and Dibs as always. Again, it's Marc Grandi sitting in for Marc Willard today, so Dibs and Grandi with you. Congratulations on the win last night. Steve, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well. The Warriors, your franchise, released an update on Stephen Curry a couple of hours ago. I wanted to start there. He has been cleared for on-court activity back here in the Bay Area, and he will join the team in L.A. On Friday. And he'll be reevaluated after Friday's practice ahead of the game against the Lakers on Saturday. So I wanted to ask, is there a possibility that he might play on Saturday? And what does he need to show you and the medical staff during that practice on Friday to get the go-ahead?
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. I mean, we wouldn't send him to L.A. If we didn't think that there was. So, all in all, everything's been very positive. He's responded well to treatment. He stayed back in the Bay, and because he's doing well, he'll get back on the court. And, we're hopeful that everything clicks and that he's able to play Saturday. But he's got to go through a couple of the days of practice and see how he responds, and we'll go from there.
And what's the schedule like, not only for the Steph time when he's going to be back on Friday, but between now and then? I know you've got Dallas tomorrow. Is there a time Thursday when you'll come back and practice, or is it really all about Friday for Steph and his availability potentially for Saturday?
Yeah, Thursday's probably a day off for us, so it's really about Friday. But he's getting work in the Bay, and so he'll be able to do a little bit before Friday's practice and kind of ramp up to get to that point, and then if everything goes smoothly, then he's got a shot to play Saturday.
I know ever since you saw the results of the MRI after he rolled that ankle against the Bulls last week, there was kind of a sense that you guys dodged a bullet. Is there still a sense of relief around the organization right now that it might only be 3 games missed by Steph?
Yeah, I mean that was probably best case scenario if that's what it ends up being. So there's always a fear when a guy rolls an ankle that it could be really bad, and you just hope for the best. And it seems like we're getting the best, and it's also not bad for our team to have to play without him. And you see how guys stepped up last night, and we had a great effort from multiple players. And in the meantime, Steph has played almost every game this year. And in the end, if this week of resting his body actually helps him, as he heals his ankle, the rest of the body is also getting a little bit of a break. He might need that right about now. So this could all turn out, well in the long run. But, of course, we got to go play Dallas without him tomorrow, which will be really tough the way they're playing.
Yeah, and before we get to the tough Dallas opponent coming up tomorrow, let's look back real quick at last night. And the big picture is obviously a good performance and a good effort in a game you really needed to win. But let's just micro-focus on the TJD dunk over Victor Wembanyama. He's had some welcome to the NBA moments before, but watching him dunk on a guy who's probably 9 feet tall right in front of you, that had to be a pretty great moment for all you guys.
Oh, my gosh, it was stunning. I mean, I didn't think it was possible to get a dunk over the top of Wembanyama, but Trayce had a great game, and that was kind of the culmination. And you saw the response from everybody on the bench, players and coaches. It was amazing, and I'm really happy for Trayce. He's such a great young guy. I'm also so impressed with Kevon Looney and how he's mentored him and how he's handled these last few games, not playing himself, but continuing to cheer on Trayce and help him and give him advice. I mean, it's really what it's all about when you see the players cheering for each other and looking after each other. And that's one of the things I love about this group is I really see them constantly doing that, really supporting one another, and that's crucial if you want to have a winning team.
Warriors head coach Steve Kerr with us here on 95.7 The Game. Willard and Dibs. Coach, you talk about maybe Steph's absence. If it is only a 3-game absence, maybe it helps teach some of your guys some important lessons playing without Steph and maybe makes them better going forward. But just bottom line, how important was it to get a win last night, and how big is every win for you at this stage of the season? Because the couple losses to the Bulls and the first game against the Spurs, you've slid back to the 10th spot, and it's I know the stated goal was getting up to the 6. It's a little bit more difficult with every passing game. You got a bunch of teams you got to jump. So how important and how big does every win feel at this stage?
Yeah, it really is important. I mean, I think we've won 16 of our last 21, and in that stretch, we've barely moved in the standings because everybody else is playing well also. So it's just tough. The West is loaded this year. Up and down the conference, you see talented, well-coached teams, and we just have to keep plugging away. I have no doubt that we can finish this season really strong, and you never know how things break. You know, a year ago we were in the play-in at this point, and we finished strong. I think we won our last 5 or 6 games and broke through and got to 6, and that made a difference for us. The year before, I think we were kind of in that 3, 4, 5, 6 range, and finished strong and got all the way to 3, and it set up a favorable matchup that helped us win a championship. So I just feel like, the season it's long. It really is a marathon, and you're going to have stretches in both directions. So, during the season, things either go well or they don't. And I feel really strongly that our team is primed if we can, really stay healthy here down the stretch, get Steph back, and stay healthy from there. I feel like we can make a really good run, and you never know what happens. If you do that, you could end up in a good spot and set you up for a good playoff run.
Yeah, and you mentioned the run you guys had been on and a couple of unfortunate losses at home, and we talked last week with Marc Willard about, why haven't you been better at home, and then you lost to Chicago and San Antonio, and now back out on the road, winning again, not playing tonight. And you mentioned the tight group of teams in the Western Conference. Will you have the league pass heated up, Steve? Are you into scoreboard watching mode yet, or are you more just focused on the club?
No, I watch the scoreboard every day. I look at the standings. I watch games, on off nights, and that's all part of it. But we, with that said, we are more focused on our own team than our opponent. I think it's really important that we find our groove, which we've been doing, and but with the injuries, we've had to shuffle the deck a little bit and find some different combinations, and so it's much more important to pay attention to all that than it is to the standings. But of course, we keep our eye on it all the time.
Coach, you talked about what Trayce Jackson-Davis did last night, but I wanted to focus on a trio of your youngsters, Trayce Jackson-Davis included, along with Brandon Pajemski and Jonathan Kuminga. If I told you at the beginning of the season that those 3 guys, 2 of them are 21, another is a 24-year-old rookie, all 3 of those guys playing at least 20-plus minutes, some of them into the 30-minute mark relatively consistently for you, and you were still competing for a playoff spot, would you believe me? How rare is that to have 3 positive pieces from guys so young and inexperienced?
I definitely would not have believed you because, I didn't know anything about Brandon or Trayce, So when the season started, we didn't plan on them contributing. Usually rookies, aren't ready for this. But both guys have proven to be ready. You see how advanced they are with their understanding of the game, their awareness, kind of their knowledge of who they are as players and how they can make the team better. So those are rare qualities for rookies, and so to see that, to see them coming along, to see J.K. and how he's progressed, Moses too. It's really been fun just to see all the young guys start to blossom and help us win a lot of games.
And the precocious nature of Brandon Pajemski. We were talking earlier with the previous show about the moxie and the confidence he shows when he gives the twirl, twirl, twirl last night, basically all but demanding that the play be reviewed. Have you ever seen a rookie in your tenure show that much self-confidence? And he was right last night, but he seems to play with the moxie of a 12-year veteran.
Yeah, he's got great feel for the game. He just he sees it before it happens, and that's pretty rare. So, but my favorite quality of his though is just his confidence. He just bounces back after tough nights really quickly, and that's real confidence and self-assurance, and I love that. It drives some of the veterans crazy sometimes, because a rookie isn't supposed to behave that way. But Draymond said it to me years ago. He said, rookies have to go take it. They've got to go. Young players have to go carve out their spot, and whatever that means, you've got to do. And for Brandon, that means doing what he's doing all year. Connecting the game for our guys with the right cut, the right pass, leading the league in charges drawn, making a ton of gritty loose ball recoveries, offensive rebounds. The guy's a gamer, and there's a reason he plays as much as he does.
Warriors head coach Steve Kerr with us here on Willard and Dibs. Coach, you're talking about rookies having to go out there and take it and take everything that they are getting during a rookie season. Is Trayce Jackson-Davis doing enough and taking enough that he might be forcing your hand into the starting lineup? I know he started on Saturday when you were hosting the Spurs. Maybe that was more so matchup based and you're playing without Steph. You got to move things around. Is there a possibility that Trayce Jackson-Davis finds his way into your starting lineup moving forward?
Well, he's going to play a lot. I mean, I think the thing to think about is the combinations, and we tried that combination Friday night of Draymond, Trayce, and J.K. at the on the front line, and we knew we wouldn't have great spacing with that group, but we really did it for the defensive side of the ball. We wanted to get off to a good start defensively and set a tone. But it's not a great combination offensively, and so chances are more that we stay with the starting lineup that's been really successful for us the last 20 games. Once Steph gets back, and bring Trayce off the bench. But there's no question he's earning more and more minutes, and he was, I thought, the player of the game last night. I mean, he was just so good at both ends, and he and Chris Paul really form a great combination too on the pick and roll. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch when Chris has it and TJD's diving toward the rim, and you wait for the inevitable lob and watch the young kid out of Indiana go up and finish on the dunk where he posterizes Wembanyama. Marc and I were just laughing at the fact that the first one on the scene was GP2, who somehow came from underneath the basket to congratulate, it's so perfect for GP2 to be in that spot. But he had a wrap on his shoulder. Is that indicative of maybe why he's not getting the minutes that he normally would, or is it just a matchup thing?
No, his shoulder's fine. It's funny because you can ask that question about a lot of guys. There's only so many minutes to go around. So Gary is best suited to play bursts, 4 or 5 minute burst where he just plays with great energy. Come out and get him back in. But I've been asked that question. How come so and so hasn't played more minutes? Dozens of times this year involving multiple players, and I keep getting back to, there's 240 minutes and there's 10 people. Like, I can only play people so much, but we're just constantly trying to find the right combinations that fit together the best, and I think we've found a lot of them these last few weeks, and that's why we've been playing better overall.
And just the follow-up to the first part of that, where was that man to where he was able to be under the basket in the first one on the scene? Was he in the second row, like eating popcorn?
I was dying laughing when I saw it on tape. I watched it on my computer. I see Gary come out of nowhere. Like, where the hell was he? in the stands. I mean, that was bizarre.
We're catching up with head coach Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors, talking about that Trayce Jackson-Davis poster jam on Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, that was the highlight of the night, maybe the highlight of your season so far, and he's going to get a lot of credit for what he's doing offensively because of that highlight. I wanted to ask you, though, what was more impressive in Trayce Jackson-Davis's game to you last night? What he was doing defensively, grabbing rebounds, affecting Victor Wembanyama down low, or was it what he was doing offensively? Because he was good on both ends, as you said.
Yeah, he was. He was great at both ends. That's what makes him such an intriguing young player. Is he impacts both sides of the ball, and I really liked his poise. You know, he had several plays on offense where he got the ball in the paint, and Wembanyama was in good position. And he didn't try to jump over him when he didn't have the advantage. He just patiently dribbled the ball back out and swung it, and got the ball into a more advantageous position. So he recognizes the game well. He sees where the advantages are, where they aren't, and doesn't try to force anything. He's really, I think, beyond his years in terms of his feel for the game.
It's second time for you going up against Victor Wembanyama. What impressed you on just how much he's gotten better from the first time you faced him back in November to now?
Well, he's clearly getting more comfortable on the floor, just with the speed of the game and the pace and finding areas to score. I thought he scored inside more last night than he did against us back in November when we saw him. So he's probably figuring out leverage and angles and that sort of thing. But he really is an incredible talent, at that size and with that length to be that skilled. It's remarkable.
Coach, I feel like we're getting to a point where we almost expect 20 points every night from Jonathan Kuminga because that's how well and consistent he's been playing for the most part. But at least from my point of view, he's kind of getting it in different ways. Even when his shot isn't falling, he's getting to the line over and over and over again, and he's hitting his free throws at a much higher rate recently than he was in the past, even though he has been relatively consistent scoring-wise for a number of months now. Have you seen his game continue to develop, and specifically offensively getting to the rim and therefore getting to the line a lot more often than almost any other player on your team?
Yeah, JK's gotten a lot better and continues to grow, and it's exciting because he has such a high ceiling. There's so many things that he still has to learn, and that's a good thing. That means he can get that much better. But what we're really trying to just get across to him is the more time he can spend near the basket, the better. And the more he can cut behind the defense for backdoor passes, for offensive rebounds, the more he can sprint ahead of the defense, in transition. Anything at the rim, he is absolutely elite. From an NBA standpoint, he's one of the most efficient scorers at the rim in the league. So the more time spent at the rim, the better. And he's still learning about watching where the defense is, moving behind them, cutting past them, that sort of thing. But as he grows and as he does that more consistently, he's just going to get better and better.
How nice is it to be able to rely on a player like Klay Thompson to step into the breach left by Steph Curry's absence and be able to get back in the starting lineup without any ego wounds and go out there and shoot it and try to score at the level that he's used to scoring at?
Klay's been great. I think ever since he went to the bench, we had the All-Star break, he came back, and since then he's sort of been in and out of the starting lineup based on injuries and that kind of thing. But his approach, his attitude, his shot selection, his energy, everything has been fantastic. And I couldn't be happier with Klay and for him, just because he seems to be at peace now. Whereas earlier in the season, I just felt like he was feeling pressure. He was forcing things. He didn't look happy sometimes, and he just looks much more at ease right now. And it's not a coincidence that he's playing so well. So Klay is, as we know, he's a champion. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the great shooters of all time. And, we're going to need him down the stretch here as we try to make this run.
You got a really important game coming up tomorrow in Dallas. They're 2 spots ahead of you in the Western Conference standings right now. They're 8th, you're in 10th. The 9th place team, the Lakers, you have coming up on Saturday. You've seen them before this season, but it has been a while because one of the postponed games was against the Mavericks. You go from one unique European player to another, from Victor to Luka Doncic. Not to give away your game plan or anything, but how do you plan on trying to defend Luka Doncic? Because the guy has been like a 35-point triple-double machine lately. What's the challenge in trying to slow him down?
Yeah, the challenge is that he has an answer for everything. You know, he's a brilliant passer. He sees over the top of defenses. So, you know, if you want to commit to him and blitz him or trap him, he'll make you pay with the pass. You know, if you play him one-on-one, he's so big and strong. He can, you know, muscle his way to the rim or shoot that step-back 3. So he's got an answer for everything, and you just have to do the best you can to try to make him uncomfortable, but he just does not get uncomfortable very often, so just a huge challenge.
All right, Steve. Good stuff. Appreciate your time as always, and best of luck in Dallas tomorrow night.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Steve. There's Head Coach Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors. There's a weekly appearance here on with Willard and Dibs.